Hi, neighbors. My name is Matt Courtoy, and I am running for Marietta City School Board in Ward 3. Just a quick heads up, today's video talks about cancer, so if that is something that is sensitive to you, maybe skip this video altogether. Back in January, my mother-in-law moved in with our family because she was diagnosed with cancer, squamous cell carcinoma in her jaw, and she had to undergo an extensive surgery to remove the cancer, and then she came home to our home and recovered and it was rebuilding her strength so she could undergo radiation. As you can imagine, it was very taxing both mentally and physically on our family. And so when she initially came home from the surgery, we had to do a lot of care to make sure that she was okay. She was learning how to walk again because it had affected her balance and her ability to walk. And my wife commented that, taking care of her mother in this capacity was her worst nightmare, to see her mother like this. And then, unfortunately, the cancer came back. And so the doctors recommended that she do have a feeding tube installed. So she came home with a feeding tube, and our family had to learn how to navigate keeping somebody alive with just, feeding them through a feeding tube. And my wife said, no, this was actually her worst nightmare. And then as the cancer continued to grow, she went back to the hospital, and the doctors recommended installing a trach so she could breathe. And so she came back home from the hospital, and we had to learn how to keep the trach clean so she could breathe and feed her through the feeding tube. And my wife again said that this was her worst nightmare. And so we learned a lot of things from this experience, but I really learned two things overall. One, when you think there is a bottom, you realize there most of the time is no bottom, and it can get lower. So your worst nightmare one day could be a dream compared to what your actual worst nightmare could be later. It could always get worse. The second thing that I learned is, even though it did continue to get worse, we figured it out. We all pulled together as a family, we all pitched in, and we took care of someone we love when she needed us the most. So it may feel sometimes like you're hitting the bottom, and that could be the bottom, or there could be a bottom below the bottom. But the great thing about us as human beings is that we can figure out a way to make it work. When we get knocked down, we get back up. And when it came time for my mother-in-law to transition, as a family, we were all ready for that because we had been alongside her for the battle and helped her along that journey. And so what could have been hard and shocking just out of the blue became something sort of peaceful and okay for us after we helped her along that path. During that process, I discovered that I really had a passion for a life of service, that I feel better about myself when I'm helping others. So I'm ready to take that life of service to the next level for this community that I love. My name is Matt Courtoy, and I am running for Marietta City School Board in Ward 3. On November 4th, I would love your vote. Thanks.